Sharon saved her supply chain from cyber risk and ended the office goat debate.
So the FBI opening an investigation into potential efforts by Iran to interfere in the presidential campaign here. Officials have been looking into these alleged cyber attacks on the Trump campaign. Also, we're getting reports they're also looking into past efforts to hack the Biden-Harris campaign just before President Biden dropped out. So let's bring Bob Kolasky in on this. He's the former Assistant Director of Cybersecurity at the Department of Homeland Security, these days the Senior Vice President, Critical Infrastructure at Exiger. Welcome back, Bob. What stands out to you, if anything, about this particular story on the hacks?
I think what stands out is this is the most prominent announcement yet that foreign adversaries are looking to interfere with our election in 2024. That's not a surprise, per se. It happened in 2016, 2020 again. But it's a sign that the threat's still out there, and that we're going to have to worry about foreign countries who are trying, adversary countries who are trying to sow chaos.
All right, let me go to a couple things here. Number one, how the Trump folks have handled this. This is Washington Post, FBI probing the alleged Iran attack, attempts targeting both Trump and then Biden camps, again, before Biden dropped out. When the Trump campaign initially concluded it had been hacked, it did not alert the FBI, according to campaign advisors. The decision not to alert the FBI made partially because of the campaign's distrust of the agency. Thoughts on that, Bob, and the danger that creates?
I can't comment on whether that's I don't know whether that's an accurate statement.
Right.
What you would hope is, particularly for both campaigns right now, that given that there are real reasons to be concerned about Iran, real reasons to be concerned about Russia, real reasons to be concerned about China interfering with our elections, if not others, that they are highly vigilant and in regular communication with federal law enforcement officials, because ultimately, the resources of federal law enforcement are going to help us figure out what's happening and ultimately protect the campaigns.
Now, the other thing is, when you talk about protecting the campaigns, I'm sure some of it's very, very complicated stuff. They bring in people like you as consultants, and they try to make themselves safe. But how much of it is just be smart about this, like we all are taught to be? Like, for example, Roger Stone, who a lot of people know, is an old guy who's been affiliated with Trump for years and apparently still uses Hotmail, which is fine, but he clicked on the phishing email, right? And I'm sure that maybe the Biden-Harris people didn't. And is it that simple of what's going on here? In other words, they're out to get everybody, and let's not be clicking on these things that might be coming from bad actors?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's accurate. There's an element that these campaigns can be soft targets for adversaries, and we are talking about probably organizations that are sponsored by foreign intelligence agencies. So they're fairly sophisticated. And there's no way the campaign's defense are going to be that sophisticated. Campaigns are startups. They're startup organizations.
Yeah, a lot of people in there on a temporary basis, right?
People.
Like a lot of people in and out. And yeah.
But you still want to put in place, and I think you've seen a trend toward this, campaigns having cyber chief information security officers and put in place good practices and do training and limit access as much as possible. So it's not as simple as just accepting this all happening. There should be good security practice, know your vendors and this there, but it's going to be it's a soft target to defend.
Right. Well, the industry, are they on top of it for the most part, these big time campaigns? I mean, they have so much money, but what would you say?
I think there's been improvements. There's more realization that they are targets and all that, but it is a very diffuse enterprise to protect. So it's the other part of this story is making sure that the information that gets out there, that the media doesn't report on things inappropriately there, that what they.
Yeah, we talked about that last hour. We really haven't, right? Yeah, I mean, it's different than 2016 so far.
It's been nice to see the restraint here and recognizing that, while there might be salacious information in these hack and leak documents, that doesn't mean that the media has to report against salacious, and that will help dissuade adversaries from going after this information.
Well, but then even if the issue sometimes is and so far mainstream folks who've gotten this have not reported, but you never, it could be somewhere else or starts leaking out on the internet and things like that. It's hard to control all of this. That's the other part that's tough once it's out there. So,
yeah, I mean, there's a long history of political campaigns trying to exploit information against each other for political purposes. True. In this case, the foreign adversaries are taking advantage of that history and trying to add to that fire. Again, I urge the media to practice restraint. I'm glad to see that that's happened, and hopefully this was a wake-up call about the importance of cybersecurity for the campaigns and to be on their best game possible.
Yep. Don't be clicking on anything on your Hotmail account there, Roger Stone. All right. Bob Kolasky, thank you, sir. Good to have you on again.